When one hears the word survive, their mind tends to envision a specialist out in the wilderness. But to survive does not always mean to outlast the harsh reality of nature. Sometimes surviving can be defined as mere luck.
I haven't seen his videos in a hot minute. It's been a hot ass minute. How you doing, Rob?
It was a bustling day in the city of Xicheng, China, when out of nowhere, an unwary little girl decided to cross the road. A nearby CCTV captured her as she sprinted past a few stopped cars. As she began to cross into oncoming traffic, a white SUV drove over her, knocking her to the ground. Before the frightened girl could pick herself back up, another vehicle drove over her as well. The girl was left lying in the middle of the road, utterly dazed, until her fearful grandmother and a bystander picked her up off the ground.
Okay, first of all, fuck your parents. Fuck them. They don't care about you at all, or whoever was watching you at the time. They do not care about you, honey. But I do. I do care about you. Not really, but I'm just saying that. Okay, I can understand the first car not seeing a child, right? I can understand that. But for the second car to run over the little girl, really? Really? I always notice the road. Anything that's out of the ordinary, that's on the road, I'm either like getting out the way or like I'm stopping. I'm most likely I'm most likely like getting out the way, like, driving out the way. I'm not about to just, wow, that was fucked up. That was fucked up. You know what that was? I bet you. From the first, because the person in the first car had a child, in the car, in the passenger seat. It was like, hey, mommy, mom, yeah, that was that bitch, Cindy. She cheated off my shits. And mom be like, oh yeah? Okay, I'm gonna run her over. Second car come. But from the second car, the girl from the child from the first car, called up the girl from the second car and be like, hey, Ashley, tell your mom, right, to go ahead and run over that bitch, Sydney. Yeah, go ahead. There you go. You run right over her. It's not gonna make no sense, but you go ahead and run over her. Go ahead, honey. That was fucked up, though. I'm not gonna lie. That was fucked up. That was. Like the first car, I understand. Second car, no. It's like you knew her and you still ran over her. What?
Carried her to safety. The girl was immediately taken to the nearest hospital and astonishingly only suffered mild head injuries after her head scraped against the bottom of both vehicles. She was very fortunate to have survived an accident many wouldn't have.
The fuck is that? What? Oh.
Elephants may seem like gentle animals, and at times they can be. But when agitated, they are colossal-sized nightmares, ready to crush anything or anyone standing in their way. In 1989, at the San Diego Animal Park, a 21-year-old zookeeper named David Salmarcos was working in the Asian and African elephant yards when, out of nowhere, an 8,000-pound elephant named Cindy charged towards him in an act of aggression. Thankfully, she only destroyed his wheelbarrow, But as David frantically rushed to the gate, Cindy pushed through before he could close it. The infuriated elephant advanced towards David, who was thrown against the wall from the force of the gate. Cindy then attempted to kill him. Hunching against the wall saved David from being splattered by the head of the weighty beast. Cindy almost killed David by pushing him out onto the concrete walkway. However, she backed away when other workers came to David's rescue. David São Marcos was promptly sent to the hospital but only suffered from a broken collarbone, several bruises, and a few scrapes. The truth later surfaced that David repeatedly abused Cindy, likely triggering her rampage. Since the attack, David is no longer employed at the zoo and refuses to work with animals.
Animals don't forget. Animals do not forget.
Mount Everest, a spectacular peak, a mountain so great most everyone knows it by name, reaching a breathtaking 29,029 feet high.
Wow.
Its stunning scenery attracts people from every corner of the world, and although many enjoy hiking the valley below, one unlucky couple was mercilessly confronted by Everest's wrath. In 2015, 26-year-old Holly Cowie and her boyfriend, 29-year-old Axel Houdekat, were enjoying the landscape with their guide near the village of Langtang, Nepal, when they suddenly experienced a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. At first, they thought it was a fascinating experience, but they quickly realized an impending avalanche was about to strike. The ground shook as the rumbling of icy sludge drew closer. As they gazed in the direction of the mountain, a foreboding cloud of dust descended towards them. Holly, Axel, and their guide could only stand behind a tree as the darkness enshrouded them. Soon they couldn't see each other, completely covered by the thickened ice and mud. However, as Axel looked down, he saw that his girlfriend was below, crouching against the tree. When they climbed out of the muck, they found their guide, who led them down the valley. They came across several other stranded people, some injured as they made their way to the British Embassy. Holly and Axel were eventually flown back to the United Kingdom, but they will always remember their very, very close brush with death.
Oh, I do not want to see this.
One day, in the state of West Bengal, India, a woman crossed the railroad tracks when she slipped and fell. Unfortunately, before she could get to safety, a freight train quickly came rushing through. The crowd watched in horror as the seemingly endless train moved over the rails with the woman underneath. However, as the final car moved over where the woman was lying, the crowd of onlookers were astounded to find her alive and barely scraped. The woman was helped up and walked away as if nothing had happened.
God was on her side.
In 2016, 30-year-old Josh Reichert and his wife, Katrin Kim, visited Solduck Falls in Olympic National Park, Washington, to celebrate their wedding anniversary. However, neither of them expected their special day to turn into utter dread. Josh leapt from the side of the rushing river onto the rocks resting amidst the falls. However, he soon realized he could not jump back onto the main land. While testing the water to see if he could swim, the current caught him, and he plummeted down the violent falls. His wife screamed in the background, desperately begging anyone nearby to call 911. Josh fell down 3 waterfalls, a total of 70 feet, but miraculously survived. He only suffered from shattered feet, as well as additional cuts and bruises. It took 9.5 hours for rescuers to reach Josh at the bottom. They hauled him in a basket up the steep hillsides, after which he was promptly transported to the Olympic Medical Center. Josh has remarked on his perilous accident, stating,
"Don't ever risk something that is so life-threatening over something so small."
That's all for this episode. Be sure to check out another one of my videos, and of course, subscribe to my channel now, because you won't want to miss what's next. And I'll see you next time.
Bruh. Damn. That's crazy, bro. That's why I'm always, like, very skeptical. And I'm always, like, I watch my surroundings. I watch what I'm doing whenever I leave the house or when I'm even in the house. But, you know, whenever you leave the house, you step into a whole new world out there. You stepping into a world where people do not care about you. You stepping into a world where people, you know, give two shits about you. Give 0 fucks about you. It's a whole different world out there in the world, you know. Because when you're in your house, you're in your own comfort. You're in your own space. You get to control whatever you want in your house to a certain extent. But once you out there, once you leave your house, it's free game. That's it. You know? I do have a question for anybody that's, you know, everybody that's watching. Do trains stop for anything? I know trains must have like an emergency brake or something. Like, can they not stop for anything though? Like, what if there's a train coming, right? And you on the railroad tracks, right? And you just standing straight up, right? And there's a guy, you know, running the train, you know, he's driving the train, right? And he sees you, right? He sees you, it's daylight, you know, it's sunny and shit outside, and he can see you, you know, like a mile or two away. He sees you, right? He has more than enough time to stop, but he doesn't stop. He doesn't even show any signs of slowing down. So, like, does he just keep going, or no? Like, or does he stop? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I don't know. I forgot what you call those people that drive or like take control, you know, of the train. But like, I wonder if, like, you know, during the orientation, you know, of it, like, they tell you, like, first day on a job whenever you drive in the train, you know, do not stop for anything. Do not stop for anything. I don't care if it's a bird. I don't care if it's a plastic bag. You know, I don't care if it's a car. I don't care if it's a kid. I don't care if it's a grown-ass man. You know, I don't care if it's the elderly person. I don't give two shits what's on them tracks. You keep going. You have a job to do. But what if no? There's no what ifs. It's
when one hears the word survive, their mind tends to envision a specialist out in the wilderness. But to survive does not always mean to outlast the harsh reality of nature. Sometimes surviving can be defined as mere luck.
I haven't seen his videos in a hot minute. It's been a hot ass minute. How you doing, Rob?
It was a bustling day in the city of Xicheng, China, when out of nowhere, an unwary little girl decided to cross the road. A nearby CCTV captured her as she sprinted past a few stopped cars. As she began to cross into oncoming traffic, when one hears the word survive, their mind tends to envision a specialist out in the wilderness. But to survive does not always mean to outlast the harsh reality of nature. Sometimes surviving can be defined as mere luck.
I haven't seen his videos in a hot minute. It's been a hot ass minute. How you doing, Rob?
It was a bustling day in the city of Xicheng, China, when out of nowhere, an unwary little girl decided to cross the road. A nearby CCTV captured her as she sprinted past a few stopped cars. As she began to cross into oncoming traffic, a white SUV drove over her, knocking her to the ground. Before the frightened girl could pick herself back up, another vehicle drove over her as well. The girl was left